What's up, everyone? Welcome back to C&D Sports. The NHL season is just around the corner. We've got some season previews, and we've got our Pacific Division season preview for you today. A lot to be excited about in the Pacific Division, I think.
A lot to be excited about. And before we get into the Pacific, I just want to make mention that for the next 4 weeks, we'll go division by division. And on the fifth week, we're going to kind of do a NHL power ranking. But these videos, the divisional videos, are more so to focus on the teams, and we're going to rank them for you. But one thing about the Pacific is I feel every team, all but one, improved or should improve. And let's just get right into it. So, the one team I look at that may be the only team trying to tank in the Pacific, I think, are the Anaheim Ducks. So I have them eighth, and that's not a knock at their talent or the team around them. I feel like they have a lot of great talent, but it looks like Pat Verbeek wants a little more either development, or he may want some more pieces. So he brought in guys like John Klingberg and Ryan Strome, yes. But those aren't guys that necessarily win you games. They'll score, they'll get some points, but they're not gonna necessarily win you games. So I still feel this is a rebuilder and a rebuilding team. The depth isn't there, but they do have that top end talent. And I mean, everybody, as they should be, is excited to see what Mason McTavish can do, along with Trevor Zegras and Troy Terry kind of taking the horns, taking the reins here for Anaheim. It's going to be an exciting season for a rebuilder. My intrigue here for Anaheim is, what are they going to do with John Gibson? They do have Dostal in the system, but outside of Gibson, and of course, I feel like Strome's a guy they're going to keep, but Gibson and Klingberg are guys I see them moving on from throughout the season, using them as trading pieces. So again, Anaheim's a wait and see rebuilding squad. Let's move on to seven. And this is where I have San Jose. And this is, in my opinion, the only team that hasn't improved. I think trading out Burns in some ways helps them, because now Erik Karlsson is that clear-cut number one offensive defenseman. There's no competition there, but it's Brent Burns, who's been the cornerstone of that team for as long as I can remember now. And up top, they do bring in Luke Kunin, and they do fill out their depth with guys like Nico Sturm and Oscar Lindblom. But I don't know if this is enough for improvement. I do like the additions of Matthew Benning and Marcus Nudavara on the blue line again, but I'm not sure how much this pushes the needle for them to be the contenders they seemingly want to be. So I think San Jose is a team that should rebuild, but it's really up to them and whether or not they want to. It doesn't seem like they want to, but they probably should.
They really have to at this point. They got to choose. They can't sit on the fence here. Like it's guys like Timo Meyer and Thomas Hurdle. They're great guys to have, but are they really going to push the needle by paying them money that, and guys like Erik Karlsson and Mark-Edward Vlasic still on the books? Is it worth getting rid of those guys to get pieces back that you can rebuild and have that cap flexibility to rebuild in the future? I don't know. There are two very talented guys, but.
And I agree with you there. Just staying on that point for a second here. Well, Hurdle got paid, and
Yeah.
that's a contract that kind of keeps him in San Jose. Now, it's a contract that I think's palatable. I would take it. And Timo Meyer's in the last year of his deal, and that guy hasn't seen the playoffs in a couple years. And I mean, I don't understand why Hurdle resigned. I don't understand why Meyer resigned or would resign. So I'm not sure what they'll do. I would imagine if they kept Hurdle, it shouldn't be too hard to convince Meyer to stay, but I don't see much hope in San Jose. For now, they have to pick one or the other to build around guys like Eklund. And well, like you said, they don't really have a choice, because cap wise, I don't see how they make a competitor out of this team.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the sixth spot. And this is where I have Seattle. They didn't have a great season, but I view them as a stable team. They may not have a Trevor Zegras or a Troy Terry like in Anaheim or a Timo Meyer and Thomas Hertl in San Jose, but they're solid at every position. Their D core, again, it's not crazy. Their forward core is not crazy, but they have guys that can eat quality minutes. And that goes across the board. This is the year where in their expansion draft, they didn't get steals, but Oliver Bjorkstrand and Burakovsky, you can't go wrong with picking up guys like that. Justin Schultz, even, that's not a bad get. Now,
No.
they are going to be missing Chris Drieger and everybody's favorite backup goalies in town because of it, Martin Jones. So the tandem's a little shaky. Everything's a little shaky here. But I'm curious to see what Matty Beniers can do, and I feel this team will go as far as that young man can take them going into his rookie season. And I mean, with Shane Wright, the look he gave the Montreal Canadiens, and he claims he wasn't giving them a look. I think it's no more Mr. Nice Guy.
And about Shane Wright, I think this is the perfect situation for him. He's got no shoes to fill. Like you talk about Slavkovsky's got huge shoes to fill in terms of number one overall picks, first round picks in Montreal, not to mention he's going to Montreal's market. Shane Wright's going to a new hockey market. There's really been no draft pick like him in terms of having a number one overall guy. And now that he's picked at number 4, there's a lot less pressure on him here. I think this is the perfect situation that he can just really build himself up into the first face of the franchise that Seattle will see.
And one thing I like about this combination is we haven't seen the success in New Jersey, but I see Shane Wright as that Jack Hughes kind of talent. He may not be as offensively gifted, but he's got that kind of talent. I see Matty Beniers as a Nico Hischier, and having those two guys down the middle for the next couple of years, that's something to be very excited for in Seattle. It's
Yeah.
still a season where they're likely going to have to build, but I think they're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I think they know what they are now. And now that they've had that year under their belt, they can really start to build off that.
Yeah. And their expansion brethren, the Vegas Golden Knights, that's who I have at 5. And this team I mostly see at 3. So why would I put them at 5? And the way I look at it is they've really done nothing to improve. They've lost players. They threw Max Pacioretty and Dylan Coghlan away along with Evgeny Dadonov. The only thing they have going for them is a healthy Jack Eichel. On top of that, they're out Robin Leonard for the entire season. So my issue with Vegas isn't the talent. They have all the talent in the world, but one injury strikes, this team's going to crumble because they don't have the depth to eat it. And I will get to the teams above as to why I have them where I do. But for Vegas, I'm not too hopeful. They're going to be a stable team. And 5 isn't as low as it looks because when we get to the Central video, one thing I will point out is I believe every team in that division declined this offseason.
Yeah. I will say, though, that I feel like you're not giving the Phil Kessel acquisition the attention it deserves.
That was
You talk about needing guys that need to eat up games. This is Mr. Consistency, the Iron Man himself, Phil Kessel.
he'll play games, but on a contender, Phil's playing more than 15 minutes a night.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean, 17 starting to push it because at this point in his career, he's just making dishes and cleaning up some of those rebounds.
Yeah.
I don't want to depend on Phil too much here. Now let's move on to the team I have at 4, and that is the LA Kings.
Probably one of the biggest surprises last year.
And very true. Now they had 99 points. And I wanted to put them below Vegas. I wanted to put them pretty low, even below Seattle, but they've done nothing but improve. Health, you do have concerns when it comes to guys like Jonathan Quick, who really took over this season. And for them to repeat, you probably need some more out of Cal Peterson because Quick is getting older. But it's only one season away and he should be ready to go. Jonathan Quick should be ready to go for this season, but I do get concerned with the reliance they have on guys like Drew Doughty and Anze Kopitar as they're getting older. I do like that they're filling out that depth. And I mean, best hands in the league, Kevin Fiala's in town. Now, with that said, I'm a little concerned because as long as I've known Kevin Fiala, he's never been relied upon like he's going to be in LA. I mean, $8 million, he's going to be a first liner and a clear first liner for them. A guy they're expecting to generate offense. He has all the talent in the world, but now he's going to have to use the guys around him and make them better because that's what he's getting paid to do in LA. He hasn't done that yet, so I am a little wary of that. But bringing in Kevin Fiala is an improvement on any team, especially for the little they gave up. Now on the blue line, the only concern I have is that they haven't brought back Michael Anderson or Sean Dursey. Outside of that, I mean, it's not the most sexy of blue lines, but everybody there can play hockey and they can play good quality minutes.
Yeah.
So that's what I look at in LA is they may not have the talent Vegas has, but they're as complete of a team as Vegas is. And I think they're even deeper. So they can eat injuries. And they've shown that. They took Edmonton to 6-7 games, right?
Seven games. They need
7 games.
needing an Evander Kane miracle to
And
get through.
they took them to 7 games without Drew Doughty.
Yep.
Right? So I mean, this team will go as far as Anze Kopitar and those veterans can take them for now. But this is one of those rare rebuilds where they have the vets that won them cups and they're passing the torch down to the young guys. And we haven't even seen what Byfield can do, Alex Turcotte, what they can do. And they still have other depth pieces that we're going to look and maybe they can do something. That's the only thing I look at in their top 9 is which young guys are they going to use? But their top 6 is established. I think their fourth line's established. It's really a matter of how can the veterans and these young guys mesh and how far will that take them? I think they're a very stable pick. Guarantee for playoffs. I think they'll be on the fence, but I don't want to doubt this team after what they did last season.
No. And again, they've only gotten better when you had the best hands in the league.
Kevin Fiala. Now, let's move on to our 3 spot. And this is where I have Vancouver. And I mean, it looks high. I definitely understand that it looks high, but they had 92 points after an atrocious start. And this is another team that I feel has improved this offseason. I am a little wary of their backup position, having a healthy competition between Spencer Martin, Colin Delia, and Michael DiPietro. I think Martin's going to get the nod, so I would want to see some more stability. But you have a premier starter, arguably elite starter in Thatcher Demko. The blue line does look suspect, but I feel like this is another blue line where it fills out around Quinn Hughes. And Quinn Hughes is only getting better. I mean, he may not be Cale Makar. He is establishing himself as a cornerstone defenseman on both ends of the ice. Of course, you're always going to be left with more, but he's getting there. And one thing I want to highlight is that top line between JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. You have 2 great centers, and the only reason neither of them are on the second line is because they have Bo Horvat there. So they have 3 great options at center. I think they have an established top 6. The Ilya Mikheyev addition is going to be great for them in terms of depth. One thing I'm interested to see is that third line right wing spot. I think there's going to be a healthy battle between Niels Hoglander and Vasily Podkolzin for that last spot on that roster, but the rest of it's pretty established with, again, all guys that can play quality hockey. And why I have them above LA is they have the talent, again, in guys like Pettersson, who I think we can expect more out of. Besser may not always be healthy, but when he's there, he's going to help this team win some games. JT Miller, he may not get 99 points again, but he's a legit first line center and someone that teams need to mark on their calendar night in and night out because he plays hard and he plays with skill. And again, they fill out the roster very well. So in our 1 and 2 spot, we have the Battle of Alberta again. I have Edmonton 1 and Calgary 2. So let's start off with Calgary. Now, Imagine, and I mean, this has been the talk of the offseason. You lose two-thirds of the best line in hockey, and I mean, there's no question the Goudreau, Lindholm, Kachuk line was the best line in hockey. I feel they're better, and a lot of people feel they're better when you consider the additions of Huberdeau and Uyghur alone. And on top of that, they bring in Nazem Kadri, who's hungry for another cup. What I like about Calgary is they're a very complete team. I don't see any holes here. Top to bottom, forward, defense, goaltending, there's no hole. And they have that high end talent in guys like Huberdeau. Now, I am a little wary for Lindholm because this is going to be a huge transition for him. So I think the beginning of the season, they're going to have to get their feet under them. They're going to have to stabilize the first couple weeks. But once they do, this is a team that really the sky's the limit. I don't see a whole lot of teams being able to stop them. And I mean, when you lose two of your top players, all the guys that are in that locker room are going to have a chip on their shoulder, wanting to prove themselves. So that's another thing to look at in Calgary. And this team, you'll hear a lot of people say it. This team looks like a Daryl Sutter team. This is going to be a hardworking, a grind you down defensive juggernaut, really.
Yeah.
So imagining teams that can compete with that mentality on top of their offensive talent. I mean, Jonathan Huberdeau has been one of the most crafty playmakers quietly in the NHL for the past couple of seasons. One of the more overlooked guys, considering was he a Hart nominee this year? He was, right?
I believe so.
I mean, again, this is a guy that I think is going to shine now that he doesn't have to play under a guy like Barkov or even at under Ekblad at points. This is his team, and he has a lot of pieces to work with.
Yeah.
But Edmonton at one, the reason being is I feel for the first time in their careers, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl have a legit top six around them. They're
Yeah.
starting the season with Kane. They have Nuge. They have Hyman. And that last spot, I mean, take your pick. It could be Kailer Yamamoto. Now, yes, Puljujärvi's RFA still, so I don't know. Doesn't seem like they want him back. That's going to be interesting. But you have a lot of young options: Ryan McLeod, Dylan Holloway, Xavier Burgo. They have options there, and the depth fills this team out pretty well too. When you consider guys like Warren Fogle, Matthias Janmark, Derek Ryan, Devin Shore, that forward group's very complete considering what they have up top in McDavid and Draisaitl. And of course, this team's going to go as far as they take them. And I mean, these guys took them to the conference finals. Draisaitl did it on one foot. So this season, they're going to be healthy. They're going to be deadly. Their blue line's always going to leave you wanting more. I mean, Darnell Nurse is getting paid. Should he be getting paid that money? I mean, that's up to Kent Holland, not us. But that's the guy who they're building around. They have Tyson Barrie who can move the puck, Evan Bouchard who can move the puck. And I mean, the rest of these guys can play quality minutes. I'm hoping Philip Broberg can do something special for them on that left spot because you can see it's a little weak with Kulak and Cuckoo. So that'll be interesting to see what they do there, how strong they'll be defensively. But I want to point out in the playoffs, this was not a weakness for them. Their weakness was Mike Smith, who's going to be out. And to replace him, they bring in Jack Campbell. And to replace Mikko Koskinen, they bring in Stuart Skinner. I feel like that's a major improvement because Stuart Skinner not having to be the starter and having a legit starter, and Jack Campbell that should probably play about 50 games, give Skinner 30 games. That'll give him the opportunity to develop. And in that development, I think we'll see him shine. And I think we know what we're going to get in Jack Campbell as long as he's healthy.
Yeah.
He can play like an elite goalie. I don't think he is an elite goalie because he can't necessarily play 60 plus games, in my opinion. But I think for 50 games, you're going to get quality after quality starting Jack Campbell. And that's what I look at in Edmonton is they have stupid amounts of talent in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and they finally have a complete team around them. This is a team that can win a Stanley Cup, but it'll be up to those two guys. and how far they take them. And I think it'll be an easy division win, but Calgary is a very good team. So it'll definitely be between these two teams.
Certainly a lot of Canadian representation in that top three right there. Our Canadian fan base is going to like that.
And I think Canada should be excited about hockey, especially out west, because these are three teams that are constantly improving. And this is one of those years where these teams are all poised to battle.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on Vancouver. Don't sleep on LA. They're great hockey teams. They showed that last year, and I'll think they'll show it in a greater capacity this season.
Yeah, for sure. So that'll do it for our NHL season preview for the Pacific Division. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to stay tuned for the other division season previews. So again, thanks for watching, guys. If you like the video, give it a like down below. Subscribe so you don't miss any of our other uploads. Comment down below what you think of our Pacific Division picks here, what you like, what you didn't like. What are your picks? Let us know in the comments below, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Peace.